Good afternoon. Excuse me for a second. Good afternoon. It's Yon Lucas from Homegrown Home Inspections. I know it has been a hot minute since I've done an update. I do apologize for that. Again, this is something I do on my own during my free time, just to keep the phases involved as to what is going on in the phase. So, been a little lax. I do apologize for that. Ton of warranty inspections in phase 7. As of last year, there was a massive amount of closings last year, which caused warranty inspections this year, which has kind of put me very busy in that. So this is something I do on my free time to kind of keep everybody in the loop as to what's going on. So I want to go over a few things as housekeeping, just to kind of help you guys out in phase 6. So number one, how progress is going. So I know that there are a few of you that you see the update pictures, or if you're out there and you're not one of my clients and you're looking at your house or visiting the property, which again, I always tell everybody, if you're going to go visit the property, please inform your salesperson or your builder. And if you're one of my clients, let me know. I can also talk to the builder, possibly meet you out there. I know I've been a little thin on being able to meet people out there because of the busy summer with warranty inspections and transactionals. But I always implore everybody to please inform the powers that be that you're going to be on site. It becomes kind of a sticky situation when homeowners are on site, trades are in there, you got cranes, you got cement trucks, you've got lots of things going on out there. And the last thing I want to do is see anybody get hurt, number one. And number two, end up as a safety issue, as a possible damage to your car, anything like that. There's tons of nails out there. Flat tires are happening all the time. I have a very large truck that tires are very expensive, and the reason why they're expensive is I buy tires that are run flats and are nail proof. So, try to curtail your visits unless you have spoken to your salesperson, your building superintendent, or let me know. So talking about how progress is going out there. Things are moving a little slower. It's going to tie into something that I'm going to speak to at the end, towards the end of the commentary part of this video, before I post the flyover. But the reality of it is Minto has numbers to hit, and Minto also has to look at the forecast for next year and the economy and everything along that lines. So there are some houses that are pretty much ready to close. They're very close, but they're slow playing them a little bit. They want to move them into January. Number one, that's actually a good thing. There are a few of you that are not, chomping at the bit to get in. And the few that are chomping at the bit to get in, I think they have tried to squeeze you into before the end of the year. But it's not a detriment. It's kind of a benefit. It gives them more time to dial the houses in. It gives them more time to address any concerns that we find during our inspections. It gives us extra time to do lot walks and kind of help them tighten the house up. But please understand that there's a reason why they're doing this. I think that they finally heard the drums beating. I talk about it all the time when I'm out there talking to building superintendents and builders and some of the management that's out there about using SMART goals instead of stretch goals. Those in the corporate world that are watching this video understand what SMART goals are. SMART goals are an acronym that stand for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. Usually people with SMART goals tend to have more success over a longer period of time, and they exceed those goals. With stretch goals, it's an unrealistic goal. It's kind of a whipping post, which I think last year they tried to do. They attempted to close close to 600 homes in a year. They didn't come close to it. They were, I think, 530 to 550. And the strain on the trades, the strain on the quality of some of the closings of the homes, the strain on just the systems and processes that they have made it very difficult. I think they've realized to take a step back to take a step forward. So that's kind of a good thing. What that means also is next year, they've reduced the amount of closings to match what the economy is doing right now. I'm no economist, but I do have a business marketing management degree, and I do have a little bit of education, and I study the markets pretty well because it does affect my business. So I can tell you right now that they're trying to be a little cautious, and not overextend themselves in starting things up. They're trying to get more towards their purpose-built homes rather than what they call um, builder choice homes, which would be almost like a spec home, a home that gets all the way to framing and then they're selling it. They're trying to get back to the state where the homeowner's coming in, buying the home, picking out every option and going from there. But they have numbers they need to hit, so they've had to go along a couple lines to accommodate their numbers. New trends that are going on out there. So Mento has picked up a few new vendors, and honestly, from an inspector's point of view, the vendors that they have brought on board are absolutely more dialed into the Mento process, more dialed into the Mento specs, and from my side, I'm seeing less defects in that aspect. I'm seeing better plumbing work. There's a new electrician out there that I speak to on a regular basis when I see him. Him and I are kind of code geeks and look at a lot of things as a whole. So talking to him, he's more dialed into what's correct rather than me having to push the envelope with getting them to do the right thing sometimes. And a lot of these conversations that I have in my process for my clients is different than some of the other inspectors where I'm involved with the builders weekly, if not daily. We walk our lots weekly. We're talking to the builders. We're trying to address things as they're happening. So, these new trades that are coming in understand the processes that Minto has, but also are more available and more have a better listening ear when it comes down to things that I see and to address. The main things I'm seeing is HVAC, electrical and plumbing. There's been some change in trades. In my personal opinion, much better. For clients that don't know who I am, or for people who don't know who I am that are watching this on the update page, my name's Yon Lucas. I'm the owner of Homegrown Home Inspection. I am a home inspector out in Latitudes, Margaritaville, and throughout Beaufort County. My process is much more involved during the builds than many of the other inspectors. The inspectors do a good job, but my processes versus other processes are more of a in-depth look at your house as it's being built. I'm not going to say it's better. I'm not going to say it's worse. What I'm going to say is if you don't live here, and even if you do live here, we're walking the lots a minimum of once a week. We're updating you every 10 business days photographically through the update through our project management app called Builder Trend. That kind of gives you a time and date stamp of every time we're out there. It also lets you see the progress. I do it once every 2 weeks because there's not enough obvious change from 1 week to the next. So realize that it's a process that's purpose-built. I've been doing it out there now for 7 years. I've inspected over probably 12 to 1,300 homes in that neighborhood, if not more. But you got to think, multiply that times 3, because we do pre-drywall, closing, and 11-month warranty all wrapped up into one process. And that way you have a cohesive experience from beginning to end of what we're looking at, and we have documentation within ourselves to go back and verify things that have been corrected. I'll give you an example of how this process works really well and how it's been advantageous. Not in Latitudes Margaritaville, in another community in Beaufort County. We also do this outside of Latitudes too now. But in another community in Beaufort County, we've been doing this process since underground plumbing, slab prep. Again, we're the only company that actually really is looking at that point. We looked at this house from underground plumbing to slab prep to framing, everything like that. So we got to our pre-drywall inspection. We see a small crack going through the house. It goes from the kitchen wall all the way through the middle of the house, through a laundry room, through a bathroom, through a living space like a bedroom, all the other wall. A pre-drywall just looked like a small crack. It was documented in the report to monitor it. As we got through the build process, they hung drywall. I had talked to the builder and told them, because this particular builder that is not Minto, but this particular builder that's outside of Latitudes and not Minto, does not use wire mesh in their slab. Minto does use wire mesh, so I just want to kind of stop any type of scaring there, but this particular builder does not use wire mesh. I talked to the builder and I said, I'm concerned about that crack because you don't have wire mesh. When we're doing our lot walks, I'll let you know, but it's marked in the report as a monitor. So through our weekly lot walks, we monitored it. We went in and kept an eye on it and slowly started to see it grow. About 3 weeks before they laid down flooring, I had gone out there and had inspected or done my lot walk and looked at the crack. So I took the crack and looked at it, and if I can trying to find a way to put this in there. Basically, I have what they call a crack card, which measures the size of the crack into multiple areas, and we're looking for any type of spalling, any type of that crack continuation where you see a crack and a crack next to it, which can chip out the concrete. We were able to document that. I had relayed my update to the homeowner because in our pre-drywall report, we recommended a monitor and a structural engineer. The builder did not want to provide a structural engineer. Well, at this point, I contacted the builder, got some pushback, contacted the homeowner, and gave him a heads up. I said, listen, you've got a crack going from one side to the other, would recommend a structural engineer. The structural engineer that KHOV did not want to provide, they had their own structural engineer look at it and say it's absolutely a crack that needs to be addressed. That helped that homeowner. That's how our process is different. You know, if I come out at just pre-drywall, just closing, and just 11-month warranty, there are going to be things that are missed throughout. If I came out just pre-drywall, marked that as a monitor, and then came out at closing, I'm not going to be able to see that. That's kind of how our process differs. We are able to look, inspect on a weekly basis, talk to the builder, give them the opportunity to address things. With Minto, that type of stuff that I just described does not happen, but there are things that throughout the build, like I find a broken truss, or I find a gas stub out in the wrong location. I find that you have a pocket door, but you did not request a pocket door, or you request a pocket door and they don't have one there. Anything along that lines, we're finding that while it can be addressed with causing less damage, or not damage, but less delays on the construction of the home. So that's kind of what we do. My process, my phase inspection process, memorializes underground plumbing, slab prep. We do a formalized pre-drywall report. We're inspecting all of your options. We're looking at everything as it's being built. We do your closing inspection. Then we come out at 11 months, no sooner. At 11 months, we come out and we re-inspect for your 1-year warranty. It's 11 months from our time of inspection. So that's kind of our process for some of you that aren't familiar with it. So if anybody is looking for an inspector, please give us a call. You know, you as a homeowner need to feel comfortable about the inspector you hire, first and foremost. Price should not be your factor. You know, you're buying $500,000 home, if not more. Our price ends up as 1/3 of 1% of the total cost of the home. So basically take a penny, cut it into 3 pieces or 4 pieces in some of the prices of the homes, and that's how much you're spending on us. So price should not be a concern. Our process is much more entailed. It includes 3 landmark inspection reports. Other inspection companies do 2. And they might just charge you a la carte for each inspection. We do all 3. We wrap it up into one cost and we split it in half. So now the scary part. Everybody's been watching the news. Everybody sees what's going on. We know there's an economic slowdown. We know the effects of the economic slowdown, the effects on construction. Tariffs have not helped the prices of the homes, as not a lot of mechanical equipment such as HVAC, some of the electrical wire, a lot of these things are made outside of the United States. So it is affecting the price of the homes. You would think with an economic slowdown, pricing would come down. I would not expect that, especially on new construction. That's why you're starting to see resale homes hit the markets more and more resales selling the new construction. So it has kind of slowed down. Also, with how everything's moving with, immigration, everything like that, there is a strain on labor. I'm not saying I'm pro. I'm not saying I'm for. I'm not saying I'm against. But what I'm saying to you is a lot of the trades that work in the county and work in the area are immigrants, legal, illegal, whatever. Even if they're legal, they're still afraid to come to work. The legal ones are terrified because they're just grabbing people right now here. So they have an app, they have Facebook, they communicate with each other. If there's even the thought or the sniff that HSI or Customs Immigration is coming, there'll be days when there is not a hammer being swung out in Latitudes. Now, that's not to say that the subcontractors hire any, undocumented workers or anything like that, but it's just saying like they're fearful. They're not from here. They're seeing a lot of what's going on. So that's put a massive strain on trade, or a massive strain on labor. I went out there probably about 3 weeks ago on a Thursday, and I didn't see one person working because there supposedly was a raid in one of the neighborhoods. Not even Latitudes. When they get a sniff, they just stay home. The other thing is also during this government shutdown right now, a lot of loan processing has slowed down. Anything that's HUD, FHA, Navy Federal, USAA, a lot of companies like that are tied to the federal government, pretty much have delayed some of the loans. So you're seeing a lot of slowdown in that, which is causing a surplus of resales in the area. And people are looking at price points. Before it was less expensive to build a house than it was to buy a house that was pre-existing. Now it's starting to shift the other way. I'm trying to think here. Oh, and just general economic temperature. People are holding on to their money. That includes builders. That includes, buyers. That includes everybody. The one thing I can say is everything's cyclical. It's all going to come around. The big thing I can tell you is please, realize that we're all going to get through this. This happens, every 4 to 8 years. The economy does this. So, just be patient. If you have concerns, just take a deep breath. We'll get through this. So the other thing is with my clients or anybody else living in the area that has closings that have pushed out till January or is concerned about inspections, things like that. So with us, we work all the way through the end of the year. I do take Thanksgiving off, the day after Thanksgiving, which is a Thursday and a Friday. I take those days off. I take those days off because that's my family time. So Thursday and Friday for Thanksgiving, I will not be working, but you most probably will not have the town of Hardyville out there inspecting Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. For Christmas, any houses, like for homeowners, are just like, I don't understand why they can't get everything through before the end of the year. Realize the town and municipalities, they take the holidays off and they enjoy it. So they're going to probably have the same kind of schedule I'm going to have for Thanksgiving. But during Christmas, the week of Christmas, December 22nd through January 4th, you typically are not going to see the town of Hardyville doing any inspections out there. That's the way it's been for the past 6 years out there, and I don't expect it to change. So that's kind of my update. I just want to touch base with everybody. If you have questions, my email will be at the bottom of this, probably right around here by the time I get done editing it, adding everything in. If you have any questions, send me an email. My phone number will be there also. If you're looking for an inspector, please feel free to reach out. The other inspectors in the area do a fairly good job. I'll be very honest with you. I inspect all the major builders: Lennar, Minto, D.R. Horton, Pulte, Dream Finders, Smith Family Homes, I mean, the list goes on and on. So I kind of know the trades. I kind of know the people that are out here. I know the builders. I have a good working relationship with all of them. I don't think a home inspector should have an adversarial relationship with a builder. Um, I think a home inspector should be part of the process. You're buying a home. It's the most expensive investment you're going to make in your life. So, my big thing is realize that hiring a home inspector is important. Price should not be your deciding factor. The totality of the inspection should be your concern. The thoroughness, the communication, the working relationship with the builder, your comfort level, everything along that lines. For any of my clients in Phase 6, just a little heads up. I have had a few of you communicate to me through the Builder Trend app, which I've tried to get back to you on. I implore you, if you're trying to get a hold of me, email, which you do have my email, or my work phone number, which will be here also. Those are the best ways to get a hold of me. Builder Trend, the updates we do, the changes in timelines, which we're trying to update as often as possible when progress has been made. Some of the stuff has been sitting a while, so progress is kind of hard to memorialize. We do that once a month at the end of the month. Please, text message first, email second, phone call after that. Builder Trend never. Builder Trend it's almost, I get over 300 updates in there a day. So it kind of gets lost in the minutia. I hope you guys all have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy your families, enjoy yourselves. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. If you're looking for an inspector, love to speak to you. I think our process really hits a lot of the key things that people are looking for, especially if you're not living here, and also if you are living here. I hope you guys all have a great Thanksgiving. Wrap your arms around that family, tell them you love them, enjoy the weekend of Thanksgiving, and I hope you guys all have a great day. Now, let's go off to the drone flyover so you guys can see the progress in Phase 6. Thank you guys very much, and have a wonderful day.
This is not a religious song. She was his girl, he was her boyfriend. She'd be his wife and make him her husband. A surprise on the way, any day. One healthy little giggling, dribbling baby boy. The wise men came, three made their way to shower him with love while they lay in the hay. Shower him with love, 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 love was all around. Not very much of his childhood was known. Kept his mother Mary worried, always out on his own. He met another Mary who for a reasonable fee, less than reputable, was known to be his heart was full of love, 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 love. All around. When Jesus Christ, who was nailed to his tree, said, "Oh, Daddy-o, I can see how it all soon will be. I came to shed a little light on this darkening scene. Instead, I fear I've spilled the blood of our children all around. The blood of my children all around. The blood of our children's all around." story goes, the people here knew were less than golden-hearted gamblers and robbers, drinkers and jokers, all soul searchers like you and me. Insisted he soon would be, for his deviations taken into custody by the authorities less informed than he. Drinkers and jokers, all soul searchers, searching for love, 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 love. Love was all around. Preparations were made for a celebration day. He said, eat this bread, think of it as me. Drink this wine and dream it will be the blood of our children all around. The blood of our children spilling down. The blood of our children's all around. Father up above, why in all this anger do you fill me up with love? Love, 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 love is all around. Father up above, why in all this hatred do you fill me up with love? Fill me love, love, yeah. Love, 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 love. Love, 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 you can't buy me love, love, love. All you need is love, 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 and the blood of our children all around. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Hey, everybody, thank you so much for tonight. Hope you go home feeling good about it and enjoy a nice hot cup of coffee.